Hey everyone, welcome to West Coast Muscle Saws. Just want to tell you about an experience I had with a 572 Husqvarna chainsaw. This is a new saw. I had approximately 70 hours on it, and it started to run super rich, just barely turned, pumping gas out, and customer brought it in. It was under warranty, and I did some research on the unit, pressure vacuum tested everything, ran the numbers on the computer. And what it was it boiled down to, it was the carburetor, not the air leak or vacuum leak or anything like that. And what it was restricting fuel in the carburetor. You would think it would run lean, but what was happening, that smart carburetor was pulling all the fuel it could to keep that saw from running lean. And so basically it was dumping raw fuel into the engine, running like you had the choke on it. Anyway, we replaced the carburetor, sent it out, it was running like a dream, run beautiful. Customer brings it in the next day with that new carburetor on it and said it just started to stall and fall on its face. And I run the numbers. It ran 28 minutes and 42 seconds, really good, and then it started doing its stall out. What was interesting was the numbers were all good as far as the carburetor temperature settings and fuel, and no errors, absolutely no errors on it. So again, I did the pressure vacuum test on the engine. I ran all the tests on the fuel hoses, and you got to realize these carburetors, these smart carburetors, they are still a carburetor, and so then you've got to do some detective work. And here's a test that you can perform on these to help you figure it out, and I'll show you how I determined what this was. This is a used carburetor, running carburetor. And this test, what you do is you get you a little plug, and you're going to plug off the fuel line inlet. That's where your fuel line from the fuel filter goes on. Plug it off. You're going to hook your tester up to the purge nipple. Put your tool on vacuum and pull some vacuum, and it should not bleed off, indicating it's good. Another test you can do while you're here is to hook up to the inlet needle, put it on pressure, and you're checking the needle seat, and it seals. Now the carburetor that had the issue, we'll do the same testing on it. First I'm going to check the inlet needle where the fuel line goes on right here. We're going to put it on there. It should hold pressure, and it does. We're going to plug off that inlet nipple, then we're going to hook up to the purge. Put our tool on vacuum. It should hold. It does not. It bleeds right off. Now what you're looking for when you get that leakage like that, you're looking for around the gasket areas, loose screws, anything that can cause that to bleed. This all checked out fine. What it was the nozzle not sealing inside the venturi. You can actually hear it. If you actually were to put your ear up to it, you can hear that. And you can change it by putting your thumb over it. Hear the difference? Indicating it's in the venturi, indicating that you've got a leak on the nozzle. What's the nozzle? Well, let me show you. The nozzle is this piece right here. I'll zoom in on that for you. That brass colored nozzle, its function is to atomize the fuel, a wide open throttle, kind of untransition in the circuitry. And when they don't seal properly, you get the fuel fluctuating, getting an erratic run. And what's inside that nozzle? Well, let's take a look. Cut one apart so you can see. It's very small. You need an otoscope or a little microscope, light up microscope, to see what we're talking about if you take one apart. That's not a screen in the middle, that's the little atomizer. And that piece on the right is just a piece that they push in there to hold it in place, and then the whole nozzle slides in there. You can take your otoscope, take a look at it, works fair. I like the little light up microscopes. Right on the material there. And you can see what that is. If we can get it in there. It'll be hard to see, but anyway, you see the idea there. If you got any questions on these, I try to help when I can. I'll give you some information here. Sometimes we just got to go back to the old detective work and figure out the issues with these. Right there's your information.